Hi everyone, so I want to show you how I made this card. So I made this card before Christmas in a live stream, and so this is like the recorded tutorial for it. And it's kind of a napkin fold but altered, and this is my original design. I haven't seen, obviously the napkin fold card isn't my original design, but what I've done with it is original. So if you do case this, please make sure you credit me. It's really nice because it only takes one person not to credit, and then it just gets lost, and before you know it, everyone's like, oh no, so-and-so did it. No, it was me. But anyway, that's beside the point. So this is a card. So when it opens up, it looks like that on the front. And then at the back here, you have a space for a gift card. Now I sort of made a little pretend gift card here, and I'm actually going to use this as a gift card. So these are actually acetate card, like business cards, I guess, from Journal Say. And then I've stuck a couple of their tree stickers on the front, and on the back what I was going to do was actually get, like an Amazon gift card, but the numbers, like the code, and then just put with peel offs, put the code on the back, so then they've got their Amazon card, but it's kind of like a custom one. But you got a little pocket there to keep your little Amazon card in, which is quite cool. And then obviously got space there to write. It all folds down flat. It'll fit in an envelope for 6x6. Do bear in mind that it is quite chunky. Now the paper that I use for this one is actually like I would say that's even more than a 200. I reckon that's probably about a 220, 230 GSM, and it is pushing it a bit. So the one I'm using today is more like a 120, I think it is, 120 GSM. So I'm hoping that's going to be a bit easier. These little house stickers here that you can see are also from Journal Say, and just thought they're super cute, but you could do all sorts. And today we're going to be using stickers from Journal Say again, but I'm going to be doing something different with them. So yeah, and then this die was just from my stash, not sure where it's from, but yeah, and the papers again from my stash. But yeah, really cute, really like it. So let's get into it. Okay, so I'll use this, and this is like white on one side, and then it's like a very pale green, spring green on the other side. Now, if you want to, you can start with just having a little dot in the middle and do all your folds into the middle. But I'm going to start with the scoreboard just for the first few lines. Little heads up, make sure that your paper is exactly 12 by 12, because I did it on, in fact, I think it was this Christmas card, and it ended up that it wasn't completely, so some of the folds are slightly off. Just make sure that it is definitely 12 by 12. So to start with, we're going to score at 3 inches and at 9 inches, and then we're going to turn it and then score again at 3 inches and at 9 inches. Now these score lines are really going to be more of a guide than anything. So whatever side you want to be the front, so by that I mean like this bit here, so whatever you want this to be. So if you can look under here, it's like lilac, and then this bit is all like your blue snowflakes. So I wanted my blue snowflakey to be the bit you saw the most of. So whatever you want to see the most of needs to be the side to start with that you're doing this, this way around. So we're going to fold in that first 3-inch score line. And then if you bring the other side in, and what I would do is just make sure these two meet in the middle. So don't just go completely with the score line, just be done with it. The score line should be correct, but just to make sure, you want to just do it like that. Then you're going to open it up, fold the next one in, and then again, turn it around and just fold the two in, and again, make sure they meet and they don't overlap. And then that way it'll be a nice, accurate kind of a fold. So that will give you that. So now you want to turn it over, and on the back you can grab a ruler and a pencil. You want to go from corner to corner and just make a little mark roughly where you think halfway is. So you're going to and you can just do it, this is the back anyway, so you're not really going to see it, but just a little bit of a mark like that. And then I'm going to go from the other corner to corner and make a dot where the middle is. So there's the middle there. So there's my middle point. So then what we're going to do, and you can rub this out later if you want to, or you can just leave it because you're not going to see this bit, because this bit's actually going to get folded in. So then what you want to do is bring your corners up to the middle. Now, if you can be as accurate as possible, then that will help you later. So when you're folding it into the middle, if you then look to make sure this score line lines up with this, and this score line here lines up with that, hopefully you'll end up with quite an accurate fold. Then we're going to bring the next one in, And again, I'm just going to make sure it really does line up properly. And again, and then we're going to bring the next corner in. And then the last corner. And then what we want to do is turn this over. So if you just open this up, turn it over and just pop all of these. So just pop these here, like this little bit here, pop it so you end up with that. Okay, so it should look like that. And then you're going to bring all of these points in. So if you bring these two in, and then just come in and bring this one in and that one in, like that, and fold it all down. Now it is going to batter you, so what I suggest you do is once you've got it to that point, turn it over and then just burnish from the back, because then you haven't got to worry about catching any bits of paper. And you might find, like I have here, some bits are a little bit squiffy. I won't worry too much. So it's pretty much good. I mean, there's a few little gaps, but it's pretty much in the right place. So then what you want to do is fold these back on themselves, and you don't want to rip these corners. So if you want to really make sure you're doing it, really well, then if you grab a ruler and just go from corner to corner, if you've got one in the way that is overlapping like that one is, just make sure the one you're folding is on top. And go from corner to corner like that. And just bend this up against the ruler. And then that way, when you fold it down, you can kind of know you're not going to be tearing anything. And then just give that a burnish as well. Okay. And then you're just going to go around the whole lot and do that. I'm going to do that with all of mine, so I find that easier to do. So you should end up with that. Now, if you're using thin enough paper, you should then be able to fold the whole thing in half, like this. So you're going to fold it down in half, like this, and give it another burnish. Just watch out for any little bits that are slightly over the edge. If you want to, you can score that bit, but it's just, you don't want to score. Yeah, it's just easier. I find it easier just to fold it rather than try and work out, but you can score it first. So that gives you that so far. So now what I want to do is grab a piece of base card that is 4 by 6. So for this, I've gone for a piece of card. Now this is thicker, so this is more like a 200, 220 GSM. You want something a bit thicker. You don't want anything that thin, so you want to go thicker. You might end up with a different shade, but it doesn't matter too much because this is this little stand that goes underneath. So on this, you're going to score it at 1/2 inch, at 2 inches, and at 3.5 inches. And then you're going to fold your tabs over like that. And then you're going to fold the whole thing in half the other way. So you've basically got mountain, valley, mountain. So you should end up with that. So it looks a bit like a W. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put red tape on these two bits here. And then we're just going to notch these tabs out. And then what you want to do with this is if you turn it so it's going to be like a W. So if we do it like this, and then we're going to take the backing, and then we're going to take the backing off this tape here. I'm going to grab our folded thing. We're just going to open it up. And this folded edge here of the tab is going to go against this folded edge here. So let me just turn this around. So you should have the two open bits there facing out, and this one folded edge here facing in. And so that is going to stick right along this edge here. So you should end up with that. There's the front. Turn it sideways, you've got like a frog leg sticking off the edge. And then we're going to fold that down flat. Now if you want to rub your pencil mark out, now is the time to do it, but to be honest, you're not going to see it, so I'm not going to bother. And then we're going to fold this over and stick it on like that. And that then gives you your like 10th fold napkin fold. Now the reason we have this is because otherwise with some papers it can splay and then it can kind of open up flat, and you kind of don't want it to do that. Now if you want to make it into a gift card, what you can do is find whatever you think the back is going to be, and then just put some glue in here and stick that down, so you've only got these two pockets here. And I'm actually going to do it, you could actually do it this way as well. You could stick these two bits together, so put glue in here, stick those two together and have a little pocket like that if you wanted to. You could even fold this down like that and have the pocket there if you wanted to, in which case it would actually tuck in better. So I'm actually going to do that. I think that could be a good plan. We've not done this before, but we're going to give it a whirl. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in here, just going to put a little bit in like that, and a little bit this side like that. Let that dry, and then we're going to take this little bit here and I'm just going to fold it down like that. And again, I could stick that down. Do I want to stick that down flat? Yeah, I think I might stick that down flat as well. Again, there's so many possibilities, so many different ways you could do this. So now you have a little pouch here to put whatever, because then you can actually fit money in the back of there. And then if I just take the card out of this one, what you could then do is you could potentially fit your card into that little pocket there, which makes it even safer. So you could put it under both sides if you wanted to. It just means it's not going to drop out quite so easy, or you could just leave it in like that. So it really is up to you, but yeah, I quite like that's quite a good idea to do. So that is that bit. So if you turn it around to the front, you just want to pull this out a little bit. Doesn't need to be too far, but depending on what paper you're using, depends on how far forward that is going to pull forward. But if you want it to pull forward, you can kind of just give it a bit of a pull. If you want it to be more like that, you could do it like that, but obviously it just needs to be able to fold flat. So if you put a thing in there, like a bit of card in there, then it's not going to fold flat in your envelope, so just bear that in mind. So that is that. So now we just need to deal with the top bit. So you're going to need one piece of base card, and again this needs to be a good weight, so anything from, I would say, about a 220 to 30 upwards. I think this is more like this is the same stuff I use for the stand, the W bit. So yeah, you want to use that. So this is 6 by 6. Then you want a piece of mat that is 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, and a bit of pattern that's 5 1/2 by 5 1/2. And what we're going to do is on the mat, I'm just going to mark at the bottom at 3 inches. And I'm going to mark at the top at 3 inches. And then I'm going to put my ruler on between those two marks. And I'm going to put it on so that it's actually like as if you're about to measure it. And then I'm actually going to mark at 3 inches. So I know that this, across this thing, it's halfway. So I want to get halfway here now. So there's halfway there. And then I'm going to cut from that halfway mark down to the bottom here, from that halfway mark down to the bottom here. So you should end up with that, and you also end up with this. Don't get rid of this because you're going to need this. I mean, you don't have to have it actually. On mine, I'm probably not going to need it, but you might, depending on what colours you decide to go with. I'm actually not going to use this one, I don't think, this time around, because I don't think I need to. So that's for that. This is fine. So now we need to go for the matte one. So on the matte one, you're going to mark along the bottom at 2 7/8, and at the top and 2 7/8, and then turn it round and then join those two dots up and mark along that line, that join up, at 2 7/8. And then you're going to cut from that mark down to the bottom corner, from that mark down to the bottom corner. Now this will not give you the perfect border, but as you will see, you're not going to see this border because it's going to be stuck behind a fold, so it doesn't matter too much. If you want the perfect border, then I suggest you have a bit of a play with maybe a bit of scrap card and work out what the best measurement for you is. You might want to go, I'm not sure if you want to go 3 inches. I don't know how it's going to work with the angles. But anyway, that's what you should end up with. Now this matte piece I am going to keep because I think I'm going to need that. So this one here, if I bring this back in again, as you can see, it's a nice border around the, let me just turn this over so I haven't got the pencil line on. There we go. A nice border around the top, the left and the right. And as you can see here, there's not a lot of border there. There's not a lot of border at all, but I don't mind that. So I'm going to go ahead quickly and stick that down. So there's that bit. Then we're going to take the pattern piece. I'm using this. Work out which way you want it to be. I'm going to do it, I think I'm going to do it that way around. So on the back, I'm going to mark at, so this is 5.5 by 5.5. So I'm going to mark at 2 3/4 and 2 3/4. And then we're going to do the same again. It's going to come down. I'm going to turn the whole mat to remind me to turn it back again. So we're going to come down here like that. Make a mark at 2 3/4. And then again, we're just going to go in and cut again from that corner down to the bottom corner. And again, I am going to keep that bit of pattern paper because I can use that in a minute. I'm just going to go ahead now and stick this onto here. Okay, so that's what you end up with. And as you can see, my borders here are a bit rubbish, but those are going to be hidden by the fold. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Okay, so you should end up with that. Apologies for the change in light. It's now the evening. And so the light is, I've had to put lights on. So it's different lighting. But anyway, right on the back of this, I'm going to stick this on now because when I did it in my live stream, I didn't do this straight away. So you're going to need a piece of matte that is 2 3/4 by 5 3/4 and a piece of white that's 2.5 by 5.5. Now I'm just doing my matte layer as my white piece because my matte is white. Therefore, let's skip and let's just do the one layer. So that is going to go on there like that. Now, obviously, just make sure that your 3 borders are the same because along the bottom you're not going to know what's going on. Okay, so that is that piece done. So we're going to put that to one side for now. Let us move on to the decorative pieces. So obviously all these little triangular pieces that we need to do. Now, again, I'm doing this slightly differently to when I did it for my live stream, just because I kind of learnt lessons in that. So I'm going to do it slightly differently. Okay, so I'm going to do this differently because in the live stream I end up with not enough pieces. So I'm going to go this time around with 2 pieces of matte, and these measure 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, and 2 pieces of pattern, and these measure 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. And then you also are going to need 1 piece of matte that is 2 5/8 by 2 5/8, and 1 piece of pattern that is 2 1/8 by 2 1/8. Now, what we want to do, as you probably saw on the back, is we want to go ahead and cut these up. Now I'm going to be gluing these, so I haven't got to bother with tape. But if you are taping these, if you're, say you're using mirrored card, for example, and you're going to want to tape them, then you want to do that now before you cut them. I'm not doing that, thankfully. So I'm just going to go ahead now, and these are going to get cut in half, well, in quarters, diagonally. So both of your big pieces of pattern and matte are going to go in quarters, but your one piece is not going to go in quarters. Your one piece is only going to go in half diagonally. Okay, so we're going to go ahead now and just cut these up. Okay, so you should end up with a pile of triangles. So now we're just going to go ahead, stick all of our patterns onto our mats. Okay, so there is all of your triangles done. Now, you probably might have noticed that some of these, I think this one here, these triangles are a little bit smaller than these because obviously you've got the, yeah, they are actually, yeah. So these are the two big ones that were 3 and whatever I said, 3/4. And these are the like the one single one, and it is ever so slightly different size. So if you want to, you can get yourself 3 of those larger ones and forget the big ones. It just means you'll have 2 spare triangles. But no, you've got quite a lot of triangles to decorate, so you may well be able to fit them in somewhere. So let's bring our card back in. So I'm going to make, let's have a look. That's, oh, I've already done that at the back. That's the back. So this is the front. So let's go ahead and stick these down. So I'm going to be doing, now the other thing as well was, I didn't say, so I sort of did this earlier, was that triangle that we cut out of the middle of the, so when we did this one here, we did this, we cut this bit was left out, wasn't it, if you remember? So what I've done is I've actually just cut it down ever so slightly. I've just trimmed off this long end here. I've just trimmed about, I would say, maybe 1/8 of an inch off this edge, and the same with the pattern piece. So I'm just going to go ahead and add the pattern piece onto the matte piece, and then we're going to stick that whole thing just on that center bit there. And the thing is as well, when you do this, you don't have to, you can use different pattern paper if you want to, but I find if you use the same pattern paper, if you use your off-cutty bit, it gives an optical illusion that the card is like, that upright card is like going through it. I don't know how to explain it, but it just looks like an optical illusion. So you'll see in a minute when I do it what I'm talking about. Right, so I'm going to go ahead now and stick this one just in this centerpiece right there. So one thing I would say as well is you might want to go ahead, decorate all your bits and bobs before you add this bit on. And I think I meant to do that this time, but I forgot. So anyway, there we go. Right, so then we're going to go ahead and just stick these on wherever you want to stick them on. So I think I am going to put mine, these 2 front triangles here, these 2 here, and those 2 back ones there for the front. Okay, so there you have the front. Now I apologise because the colours look really washed out on the screen. They are pastel, but in real life they look better. So it's just because it's, as I said, it's kind of on the screen. So yeah, this is how it is. So if we turn over, we now have 4 left. So I'm just going to go ahead and do these 2 and these 2. Okay, so I've got the paler ones on the back and the more vibrant ones on the front. And then we want to go ahead and stick this piece in. So this piece is literally going to slot just behind this, so on these bits here. So it's just going to slot on there like that. Now, if you've got paper that actually is 12 by 12, you shouldn't end up with the gap. You can see I've got a little gap here right in the center. I mean, it doesn't really matter too much because I am going to be covering it up, but with a flower. But yeah, just so you know, you won't end up with that. My Christmas one, both the Christmas ones I did, the sample card and then the one I did in the live stream, they didn't have a gap on them. It's just because this paper isn't square. So I'm going to go ahead now and stick that bit down. Okay, so that is what you should end up with. Okay, so you've got this at the front, which I would pull down a little bit, just sort of open it up a little bit more when it's displayed like that. And then on the back, you've got that, and that's a bit more flat because you obviously want to put your little gift card in there. So we just need to go ahead and decorate. So I've chosen some flowers, which are journal sew stickers. So they've got these beautiful flowers. So these are all Journal Say stickers, and they're from this floral scent pack, which I actually originally got. The first journal, I've had 2 hauls from Journal Says. It's the first one, and I never got around to using all of the packs of flowers, and I just really like them. They're so nice. So I'm gonna use some of this one. This is one of the ones. Floral scent. I'm not sure if they're all called floral scent. I can't remember, but anyway, they're all listed on the. I'll list them on the description below. So I'm going to go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mount these onto acetate, because I do want them sticking up, you know, out, and there's going to be quite a bit of it sticking out. So I don't really want to, like, I'd quite like to have one there in the middle. So I really do need to, like, you know, make sure that because I don't want it all stuck. It's going to go through all over, you know, it's going to follow all the ridges. So I'm going to go ahead now and just stick all of these onto acetate, and then just cut around them as much as I can. Okay, so I've gone ahead and stuck them onto acetate. So now fully ready to go, and I've just cut around them loosely, very loosely. There's a few air bubbles, but I'm really not that bothered. So what I was thinking was, on here, there's different ways you could decorate, but I quite like the idea of having like one here and attaching it on the inside of this pocket here. So one like that, and then having this one on the inside of that pocket. So like that, and then at the back, we can have these two either side like that. And what I thought I might do, because I've sort of stood them up and had a look, and I think what I would need to do is just attach, like with a glue dot or something, just behind that, like one flower, just that there, and maybe just behind there. So they're not fully stuck in. They're just, because the thing is, they need to be able to kind of flex and bend as the card moves. So if we just attach them in maybe 1 or 2 places, I reckon that will work. So I'm going to go ahead now and just stick these down first. And I think I'm going to use like a square. I could use glue dots, but I don't know. Ooh, I've got some square ones. I don't know if they're going to be strong enough. They might be. Let me grab my square glue dots out and see if they work. Okay, so these are Dovecraft glue squares. I don't know. You might be able to get them still on Amazon or whatever. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, any kind of glue dot squares would do. So on this one here, I'm just going to put a little glue dot behind that flower there. I might just do 2 glue dots on that one. Okay, so that will still bend. It is a bit sort of stuck. It doesn't leave it to open up a bit, you know, but it still stands out. So that's fine. That's what we want. That's the main thing. And this one as well. And I think with this one, we're just going to put one just at the bottom of this section here. So we need to be quite precise and make sure we get them in the right place. Could do with putting 2 in, but I don't know that I'm going to fit 2 in. I'm not sure. Let's just put 1 in for now, I think. It's just if we've got 2, it's just secured a little bit better. Let me just have a look and see if I can get 2 in. If I put them right on the edge of these, I might be able to fit them in. I'm actually quite happy with that. That looks cool. Right, and then the others need to stick behind here. And then that's what I've managed to do so far. I'm really happy with the way that's turned out. And I'm just going to do a simple happy birthday and do it quite high up. It's a little bit obscured by the flowers, but if you pull it out, it's not so bad. So it's not too bad. So I'm just going to put that at the top there, and I'm just going to put some foam pads on that, because you've already got a bit of a bulk down this end anyway, so you can afford to have a little bit of bulk up that end as well. So go ahead and add that on. Okay, so there you have the finished card. I'm actually really pleased with this. I just think there's so many things that you could do with this. So I'll quickly show you the 2 Christmas ones that I did. So these are the 2 Christmas ones that I did. So you've got this one here, the first one I ever made. So this had no mats and layers. It was just used pattern card. And I meant to have, because this pattern card goes from dark blue across to the pale blue. So I meant to have it going this way. But anyway, I got in a muddle and didn't end up with that way. But I don't mind it. It's fine. And then I've got those journal say stickers on the front, the little houses. I think are so cute. And just really nice way of doing it. And then on the back on this one, what I did was I just left it so you've got two little pockets in the middle there, so then you can put your little gift card. So I made a little gift card out of acetate. I think I mentioned this at the beginning. I made a little gift card out of acetate, and then that can just sit in there like that. So yeah, so that's that one. And then the one that I did in the live stream was this one. So very similar again, but the paper that I used was a lot thinner. And actually, I think it may have even been a bit thinner than this one, because this one wasn't too bad to work with. This one was a little bit too thin. But yeah, again, I've used those journal say stickers again. Really like the way this has turned out. And then on the back, I've done what we did today and folded that down. And then you can go ahead and put that in. And I quite like that like that. And if you wanted to, you could kind of, you know, maybe you might be able to get it underneath one of these. If you want to get it super snug in, maybe leave part of it out. And then they can just take it out. But yeah, really nice little card. And then obviously you've then also got today's card, which is this one, which again I really like. And I like just the way you can mix it up. So I did want to use the houses. I've got some other houses that I really wanted to use, but I thought, let me do something different, because I want to try and give you some more ideas. Somebody in the live stream mentioned about how this would be good as a nativity scene, and I agree. It would be fabulous as a nativity scene, because as well, at the moment I've got this quite high up like this, but if you pulled it down a bit more like that, you could actually have like more of a nativity scene. I mean, you could almost, you know, try and get, if you're giving it to somebody by hand, you get them to open it up like this, and then you've almost got like a whole little stage there. You can have all sorts of things on it. So that's another possibility. But yeah, really like this card. All of them fold down flat. They'll all fit in an envelope for a 6x6 card. They are a bit chunky, depending on how, you know, thick your card is. Depends on how chunky they end up being. This one is by far the chunkiest one, really chunky on the bottom. But this is because this card is really thick, and then you've got all the layers as well. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the card today. Don't forget to go and check out all my different paper pads. These two aren't my paper pads, this one is. So this one I used Dragonfly Dreams paper pad for these bits, and the stripe I believe is from my Mum's the Word paper pad. So yeah, don't forget to go and check those out. They're all available on Amazon as paper pads, and they're also available as digital kits. I think the Mum's the Word and the Dragonfly Dreams is available on Etsy. I'm not sure about in my Ko-fi shop. I think it might be, but I can't remember which one's got in there now. But anyway, go and check my Ko-fi shop anyway, because there will be others in there. Also, don't forget to go and check out Journal Say. All the stickers are from Journal Say. You can use my code ICEDImages, will get you 8% off your order. I believe this was from Coca Rosa Studio or In Love Art Shop. Not sure. One of the two. I'll try and link it below if I can find the link for it. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.